Can you each explain what your policies might be in relation to the needs and expectations of pensioners?
I need to preface the answer to this question really on the basis that this party exists solely as a catalyst for change within Thanet. We want to see a different system of government here in Thanet. We do not exist to run Thanet. Once that job is done of changing the government here, then we will step back and allow the other parties who are elected by you to take over within the new system. With regard to old age pensioners, we therefore do not have a specific policy for that. But what I would say, if I could mention social care, we would expect the new unitary authority with a different, more transparent and accountable system to have the kind of freedoms, particularly under the Localism Act 2011. There's a lot of flexibility being given to us under that, to break down the walls between medical care and social care. This has been prefaced recently in Manchester, where they promised to put £6 billion into the local authority in order to achieve that. It's also been done in Torbay, where they too have a directly elected system and a unitary authority. So I think there's massive benefits to be had there.
I spend pretty much every day of my life knocking on people's doors and going to events and talking to people. And when I meet older people, their number one concern is the NHS. Our local hospital is in crisis. We are currently, we had a Care Quality Commission investigation that put us into special measures, and there's real problems. And I talk to a lot of the staff, and they are overworked, they are trying to do too many jobs, and it means that care is actually starting to slip. So something that Labour will do is to bring in a mansion tax on homes worth more than £2 million and use the proceeds of that to actually put more investment into the NHS and get the nurses and doctors to take the strain off the system. On top of that, we're also finally going to bring in the different strands of social care and mental health services into the NHS, because one of the big problems we've had in the last few years is that the NHS budget may have been protected, but local council has not, so adult social care has had huge cuts, meaning that older people's health and security is being put at risk. Labour will integrate that into the NHS, make sure that funding is protected as well. Thank you.
One of the things I'm slightly worried about is that we are beginning to segment our communities into old people, into young people, and people in work and people out of work. We are one community, let's never forget that. As far as older people are concerned, it was the Liberal Democrats in coalition government that introduced the triple lock concept on pensions. So we've done a lot whilst we've been in government. Nobody wanted a coalition at the start of this, but whilst we've been in government, we've done a lot of things to support it. As far as mental health is concerned, the demographics of this country are going to change dramatically over the next 15 to 20 years. And as far as things like dementia is concerned, the Liberal Democrats have been leading in government to make sure that mental health issues are treated with the same urgency and the same deadlines that things like operations for elective surgery is concerned. Being no doubt that the challenges of dementia in this country are going to be massive, but we are going to resource them and resolve them as a community and not by isolating old people and saying they're on their own.
Well, obviously, I've not got any formal policies on this, but I do have a great worry about loneliness in old people. As a district councillor, I definitely worked towards making sure they were integrated into the community, had opportunities to participate in events locally and things like that, and have meeting rooms and things like that. All I can say from my own experience is that I was within 6 years of retiring, and the government put up the age of retirement, so I then had to double my time at work, and I was very depressed about that. I do think when they bring in these policies at government level, they should roll them in from a younger age, and don't foist it on us at such a late stage when we're mentally not prepared to retire, and then it suddenly is taken further and further away from us. Okay, thank you.
Al-Zabab's policy will be a life cap at the age of 50. Once you reach 50 years old, we will euthanize you, and Oog will await you at the turnstiles as ever. Do that one.
quitting. But all I want to say is the difference between us and all the other parties are we are actually implementing some of our policies, whether we win or not. One of our policies is we've bought a building in the centre of town and we're opening a community cafe where a lot of old people are going to be coming down, fed for as little as what we can afford. We're going out and we're growing vegetables, we're introducing permaculture, teaching people about food growth, and start to introduce the people of Ramsgate and Thanet, we're going to broaden out into a healthier lifestyle. You know, we've invested a lot of time, a lot of money in this sort of thing, so, you know, we're doing it from, our party's doing it from our heart, not really because we're not a stepping stone to Westminster, we're not even well, we'd like to get our policies. And we realise that the NHS is very important to older people, so, but our present government are going to sign TTIP, which is effectively the end of the NHS as we know it. So we're very much against that. And also Labour as well. I mean, unfortunately, you know, they've said there's an exclusion on the NHS, but they can't implement that.
Pensioners they have to have respect and security in their old age. And that the party is, I think David Cameron put it very well last week, that we will support pensioners absolutely because of what they've done for us in the past. We wouldn't even, none of us would be here without the older generation. And that's why we implemented the pensions lock, so that pensions will go up year on a proper basis. But I think very importantly to many of us in the room, we've implemented pension flexibility. So the money that you've raised for your own pension will be yours. We're not going to means test the free bus passes, the TV licences and the winter fuel allowance that others have suggested is probably appropriate. I don't believe that. I think we should make things as simple as possible and not means test things. So the NHS is going to cost us more money in the future. We know that, through dementia and because of an ageing population. Only by having a powerful economy can we pay for that, and that's what we'll provide.
Thanet has got the highest percentage population of people aged over 65 in all of South East England, 21% according to the last census, set to grow to about 30% over the next 20 years. It's got a huge older population. 30% of the pensioners in Thanet live on pension credit, meaning their pension that was so glibly talked about now is nowhere near enough for them to live. They've got to claim benefits to live in their old age. 30% of Thanet pensioners. And Thanet as well has got the privilege of having the largest excess winter death rate of people aged over 75 in all of Kent, because they're living in fuel poverty. The big issue is tackling pensioner poverty in Thanet. The big issue is making sure that pensioners get health care, and the big issue is stopping the privatisation of the home carers who work below the minimum wage and come in for 15 minutes.